You want something? Good. Most people do. But wanting is cheap. Everyone wants more money, a better life, respect, freedom, success. The difference is not in what people want. The difference is in what they're willing to become to get it. If you truly want something real, something meaningful, then you have to understand this. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. You can wish for success all day long. But if your habits are weak, your discipline is inconsistent, and your focus is scattered, then your results will reflect that. Life doesn't respond to wishing. It responds to action. It responds to consistency. It responds to who you prove yourself to be day after day. So the first step is clarity. You must be clear about what you want. Not vague, not I kind of want this or maybe someday. No, decide. Be specific. Write it down, define it. Because if you don't know exactly what you're aiming for, you'll hit nothing every single time. Once you know what you want, the next step is personal development. This is where most people fall short. They think the goal is out there somewhere waiting to be grabbed. But the truth is, the goal requires a better version of you. More discipline, more patience, more knowledge, more resilience. If you want more, you have to become more. You can't stay the same and expect your life to change. It doesn't work like that. Growth is not optional, it's required. And growth is uncomfortable. It means doing things you don't feel like doing. It means waking up earlier, working harder, staying focused when distractions are everywhere. Discipline is the bridge between wanting and having. And let's talk about time. Because time is either your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Every day, you're either moving closer to what you want or drifting further away from it. There is no neutral. The small things you do daily, those habits, those choices, they compound. They build your future quietly, whether you notice it or not. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a committed start. Take action, even if it's small, even if it feels insignificant, because progress builds confidence, and confidence fuels bigger action. And before you know it, you're not the same person anymore. You're someone who executes, someone who follows through. Now understand this, obstacles will come. They always do. There will be setbacks, failures, moments where it feels like nothing is working. That's not a sign to quit. That's the test. That's where most people give up. And that's why most people never get what they want. Persistence is what separates the winners from everyone else. You have to keep going when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because that's where growth happens. That's where character is built. That's where you prove to yourself that you're serious. And here's something powerful. Your environment matters. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, the conversations you engage in, they all shape your mindset. If you're surrounded by negativity, excuses, and mediocrity, it will pull you down. But if you surround yourself with growth, ambition, and purpose, it will push you forward. Protect your mindset. Guard your focus. Feed your mind with things that make you stronger, not weaker. And finally, take responsibility. No blaming, no excuses, no waiting for the perfect moment. Your life is your responsibility. Where you are right now is a result of what you've been doing, thinking, and choosing. And the good news, that means you have the power to change it. If you change your habits, you change your direction. If you change your mindset, you change your results. If you change yourself, you change your life. So if you truly want something, go all in. Be clear, grow daily, take action, stay disciplined, persist through challenges. Build the right environment and take full responsibility. Because in the end, you don't get whatever you want by chance. You get it by becoming the person who is capable of achieving it. Most people move through life with a general sense of wanting more, but very few take the time to define exactly what a more means. They say they want success, but success is not a destination. It's a vague idea unless you give it shape. Without clarity, effort becomes scattered, decisions become inconsistent, and progress becomes almost invisible. You cannot move with purpose if you don't know where you are going. Clarity is not a luxury. It is the foundation of all achievement. When you are unclear about what you want, you become easily influenced by what others want for you. You follow trends, chase approval, and drift to roles that don't truly belong to you. This leads to frustration because even when you make progress, it doesn't feel fulfilling. That's the cost of a vague vision. But when your desire is specific, something shifts inside you. Your mind begins to organize itself around that target. Your energy becomes focused. Your actions start to align. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates momentum. Think about the difference between saying I want to be successful and saying I want to earn a specific income, build a particular skill, or achieve a defined milestone within a set time frame. The second statement forces you to think, it forces you to measure, it forces you to act with intention. The more precise your vision becomes, the easier it is to identify what needs to be done and what needs to be ignored. Needs to be ignored. Because one of the hidden powers of clarity is elimination. When you know exactly what you want, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You become more selective with your time, your energy, and your attention. Distractions lose their power because they don't align with your goal. Opportunities become easier to evaluate because you can quickly decide whether they move you forward or pull you away. Clarity simplifies decision-making in a world full of noise, but gaining clarity requires honesty. You have to ask yourself real questions and be willing to answer them without pretending. What do you truly want? Not what sounds impressive, not what others expect, but what genuinely matters to you. What kind of life do you want to live? What kind of work do you want to do? What kind of person do you want to become? These questions demand reflection, and reflection demands time. You cannot rush this process, but you also cannot avoid it. Writing things down is a powerful way to sharpen your clarity. Thoughts in your head can be messy and incomplete, but when you put them on paper, they become real. You begin to see patterns, contradictions, and possibilities more clearly. A written goal is no longer just an idea. It becomes a commitment. It holds you accountable. It reminds you of what you said you wanted, especially on days when your motivation fades. Clarity also requires specificity in both outcome and timeline. A goal without a time frame is just a wish. When you attach a deadline, you create urgency. Urgency pushes you to act. It forces you to prioritize. It turns a someday into something tangible. And once you have both a clear outcome and a clear timeline, you can begin to break your goal into smaller, manageable steps. This is where clarity transforms into strategy. It's important to understand that clarity is not something you find once and keep forever. It evolves as you grow. What you want today may change as you learn, experience, and develop. That's not a problem. It's part of the process. The key is to continuously refine your vision while staying committed to a direction. Adjust, but don't drift. Another critical aspect is emotional connection. Your goal must mean something to you. If it doesn't excite you, challenge you, or pull you forward, it won't hold your attention for long. Clarity is not just about logic. It's about feel. It's about the people around you, the conversations you engage in, and the information you consume all influence your thinking and behavior. If you surround yourself with negativity, laziness, or excuses, it will slow down your growth. But if you place yourself in an environment that encourages discipline, learning, and ambition, it will push you forward. Finally, you must commit to becoming better every single day. Not perfect, but better. Growth is a continuous process, not a one-time effort. There's always another level, another skill to develop, another mindset to strengthen. The moment you stop growing is the moment you stop progressing. When you focus on becoming more disciplined, more focused, more skilled, you naturally move closer to what you want. Because at that point, success is no longer something you're chasing. It becomes something you are prepared for, something you are ready to handle, and something you truly deserve. Discipline is the quiet force that turns intentions into reality. It is what separates those who talk about their goals from those who actually achieve them. Motivation can get you started, but is unreliable. Comes and goes, rising when you feel inspired and disappearing when things become difficult. Discipline, on the other hand, stays. It keeps you moving forward even when you don't feel like it, even when progress is slow, even when no one is watching. Most people wait until they feel ready before they take action. They wait for the perfect mood, the right time, or a burst of energy. But that approach leads to inconsistency. And inconsistency leads to weak results. Discipline removes the need to feel ready. It creates a system where action happens regardless of emotion. You do what needs to be done because you said you would do it, not because you feel like doing it. At its core, discipline is about keeping promises to yourself. Every time you decide to follow through on a commitment, whether it's waking up early, finishing a task, or staying focused, you strengthen your self-trust is powerful. When you trust yourself, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop looking for shortcuts. You begin to rely on your own consistency rather than external motivation. Building discipline starts with small, manageable actions. It is not about making drastic changes overnight. In fact, trying to do too much at once often leads to burnout and failure. Instead, it's about choosing a few key habits and committing to them daily. These habits may seem simple, even insignificant, but their power lies in repetition. The more consistently you perform them, the stronger your discipline becomes. Consistency is where discipline is tested. It's easy to stay committed when everything is going well. It's easy to follow through when you're excited or when results are coming quickly. But the real challenge appears when things slow down, when distractions increase, or when you feel tired and unmotivated. That is where discipline proves its value. It pushes you to continue when stopping would be easier. One of the biggest enemies of discipline is distraction. In a world full of constant notifications, entertainment, and easy access to comfort, staying focused has become more difficult than ever. Discipline requires you to protect your time and attention. It means saying no to things that don't align with your goals. It means setting boundaries, creating structure, and minimizing interruptions so you can stay on track. Another important aspect of discipline is routine. When you build a routine, you reduce the number of decisions you have to make each day. Instead of constantly thinking about what to do next, you follow a system that guides your actions. This makes it easier to stay consistent because you are not relying on willpower alone. Your routine becomes a framework that supports your discipline. There will be moments when you fail to stay disciplined. You will miss a day, break a habit, or lose focus. That is part of the process. What matters is how you respond. Discipline is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Instead of giving up, you reset, you return to your routine. You continue moving forward without letting one mistake turn into a pattern. Delayed gratification is another key element. Discipline often requires you to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. It means choosing effort over ease, focus over distraction, and progress over comfort. This is not always easy, especially when immediate rewards are tempting. But those who master discipline understand that the rewards of consistency far outweigh the temporary satisfaction of taking the easy path. Over time, discipline becomes part of your identity. It is no longer something you force yourself to do. It becomes who you are. You become someone who shows up, someone who follows through, someone who does the work regardless of how you feel. And once discipline becomes your identity, your results begin to reflect it. In the end, discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is built through daily action, strengthened through consistency, and proven through persistence. While others wait for motivation, you move forward with certainty. And that steady, relentless effort is what ultimately turns your goals into reality. Action is the point where everything shifts from imagination to reality. You can think, plan, and dream for as long as you want, but nothing changes until you move. Many people spend too much time preparing, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect idea, or the perfect conditions. But perfection is a trap. It creates hesitation, and hesitation kills momentum. The truth is, there is no perfect time. There is only now, and what you choose to do with it. Taking action, even in small steps, creates progress, and progress builds confidence. When you start moving, you begin to learn things you could never understand just by thinking about them. You gain experience, you see what works, and you discover what doesn't. Action gives you feedback, and feedback allows you to improve. Without action, you stay stuck in theory, repeating the same thoughts without ever growing. One of the biggest reasons people avoid action is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of making mistakes. But avoiding action doesn't remove fear, it strengthens it. The longer you wait, the bigger your doubts become. The only way to reduce fear is to face it. When you take that first step, even if it's uncomfortable, you begin to realize that fear loses its power once you move through it. Another common mistake is overthinking. People analyze every detail, trying to predict every possible outcome before they begin. While planning has its place, too much thinking leads to paralysis. You don't need to have everything figured out to start. In fact, most clarity comes after you begin, not before. Action creates clarity. It reveals the next step. It shows you what adjustments need to be made. Speed matters. Not reckless speed, but decisive action. When you have an idea or an opportunity, act on it while the energy is there. Waiting too long often leads to doubt, distraction, or lost opportunities. The world rewards those who execute, not those who endlessly prepare. Taking action quickly gives you an advantage because you are learning and progressing while others are still thinking. Consistency in action is just as important as starting. Taking one step is not enough. You have to keep moving. Progress is built through repeated effort, not isolated moments of activity. Even on days when you don't feel motivated, taking some form of action keeps the momentum alive. Momentum is powerful because once it builds, it becomes easier to continue. It's also important to focus on imperfect action rather than perfect inaction. Many people delay starting because they believe their work needs to be flawless from the beginning. But perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Your first attempt will not be your best, and that's okay. What matters is that you begin. Each step you take improves your skills and moves you closer to your goal. Accountability can strengthen your ability to take action. When you hold yourself responsible or involve others who expect progress from you, it becomes harder to stay inactive. Accountability creates pressure in a positive way. It pushes you to follow through on what you said you would do, even when your motivation fades. Another key factor is breaking your goals into smaller, actionable steps. Large goals can feel overwhelming, which leads to procrastination. But when you divide them into simple tasks, they become manageable. Instead of focusing on the entire journey, you focus on the next step. And once that step is complete, you move to the next one. This approach keeps you moving forward without feeling stuck. You must also accept that mistakes are part of the process. Taking action does not guarantee immediate success. There will be errors, setbacks, and lessons along the way. But every mistake carries valuable information. It teaches you what to change, what to improve, and how to move forward more effectively. Avoiding action to avoid mistakes only prevents growth. Energy plays a role as well. The more you act, the more driven you become. Action creates energy, while inaction drains it. When you sit still for too long, it becomes harder to start. But once you begin, even with a small task, your energy increases and it becomes easier to continue. In the end, everything comes down to execution. Ideas are common, plans are everywhere. But action is what separates those who achieve from those who only imagine. You don't need to know every step of the journey to begin. You just need the courage to take the first one and the commitment to keep going. Challenges are not interruptions in the journey. They are the journey. Every meaningful goal comes with resistance, and that resistance is not there to stop you. It is there to shape you. Most people expect progress to be smooth, but the reality is very different. There will be delays, setbacks, failures, and moments where it feels like nothing is working. What separates those who succeed from those who don't is not talent or luck, but the ability to continue despite these obstacles. When you face difficulty, your first instinct might be to question your path. You may wonder if you made the wrong decision or if you're capable enough to continue. These thoughts are natural, but they are also dangerous if you allow them to control your actions. Doubt can slow you down, but it should never stop you. The key is to acknowledge the challenge without surrendering to it. Persistence begins with a decision. A decision that no matter how hard things get, you will keep moving forward. This doesn't mean you won't feel frustrated or discouraged. It means you won't let those feelings dictate your behavior. You choose to act in alignment with your goal even when your emotions try to pull you in the opposite direction. One of the most important aspects of persistence is understanding that failure is not the end. Failure is not the end. Failure is feedback. It shows you what didn't work and gives you a chance to adjust your approach. Every mistake carries a lesson, and every lesson brings you closer to success. The problem is that many people take failure personally. They see it as a reflection of their ability rather than a step in the process. This mindset causes them to quit too soon. Those who persist see failure differently. They treat it as part of the journey, not a reason to abandon. They analyze what went wrong, make adjustments, and try again. This cycle of action, failure, learning, and improvement is what drives progress. Without it, growth becomes impossible. Responsibility requires honesty. You have to be willing to evaluate your actions without denial. If something is not working, you must